Hey guys, welcome back to another Ascension reading. It's been a little bit of time since I did one of these ones. And as you know, if you follow my channel, thank you so very much. These readings are specifically for those who are Ascension minded. In short, if you are a member or you would consider yourself to be a member of the mission-based community, meaning that you may have certain labels for yourself like starseeds, light workers, visionary leaders, incarnated angels, unicorns, whatever it is, time lords, whatever it is, if your goal is to be of service to others and you have that in your soul contract, or you just feel called to this kind of work, or you just found this video, then there are messages here for you. So thank you so much. If you haven't had a chance yet to check out the April 2024 monthly reading, please do go ahead and do it. And please note that this month there are two parts to it, right? So make sure that you catch both of those. And also, I believe today, what is today? I love how I'm looking around. Who am I? Is it just me here and my team, I guess. I think today is, might be the 13th. Yeah. So it's good. It's a good time to check back in with that monthly reading if you have already watched it. Remember, these are energies, so they take time to become more visible and more solid in your physical environment. So things will start to make more sense, and you may actually be able to glean more guidance from what came through earlier this month. Also, one last thing, this month the guides have been asking us to return to the lecture that they gave back in I got the time right this time, back in February 2023 February, because they were talking a lot about how the heart is the gateway to, you know, all the way up in dimension to the highest source, all the way up to source. Remember that not all thoughts, not all things, not emotion, not all these things, not all of them will go all the way up to source. A lot of those, especially the lower vibrating ones, will terminate at another dimension or not even make it out of the third dimension. So you always want to make sure that you're putting your focus on thoughts, emotions, belief systems, things like that, which can actually take you somewhere. All right, the other one that they want to talk about to send you back to is the February 2024 reading. So go ahead, double Febs, 2024 and 2023. All right, without further ado, let's jump right in. And the thought that I had before coming into this call is the concept of having a function. Now, when I talk about having a function, I'm talking about that thing, that purpose that you were imbued with when you were created. Now, at this time, remember, we don't necessarily want to cling to discourse, and no matter who you hear things from, whether it's me or anything else or anyone else outside of you, it should always be run through you first so that you can make a decision to either, you know, incorporate it as part of your belief system or let it hang out to dry and see if it should be. Everything that you encounter, everything, people, places, things, situations, ideas, those are forms. And all energies that come to you should always go through a vetting process, and you are the one who is the head of that board, not anybody else, okay? Always remember that. But that being said, it is my belief at this time in my personal evolution that when I'm going to go ahead and say but when we were created, we were given a purpose, right? And we often hear about this in terms of like the archangels. They were given purposes. We know it's built right into their name in many ways, right? Michael, Mikhail, whatever you want to call it, Raphael, Uriel, all of these names. And we already know that names in many cultures carry meaning as well. These are basically functions that are being bestowed. We know this, lioness of God, or light bringer of the world, and all of these things, because according to our earthly learning here and our belief system socioculturally, to name something is to give it power. And in a sense, let's redefine that. To name something is to give it an attribute. All right, to name something is to individuate it from the one, because when there's oneness, or there is isness, or there's all that is, the very, very understandable one attribute to oneness is that there is no attribute, it just is. And that's why when we use language like I am, that's it. That's what would refer to what is I am. oneness, the state of unity, because there's no condition, there's no attribute, there's no characteristic. I was looking for this word. There's no characteristic to give something any type of delineation or any type of definition within the one. So that's why when we speak of source or the creator or whatever word you would like to use, which is ultimately just our word as human beings, right, in the English language, right, and in certain belief systems, it can in its most easiest, all-encompassing way be referred to as I am, or the Tao, right? As they say in the Tao Te Ching in the beginning, the Tao that can be expressed is not the real Tao. If we're sitting here talking about it, we are incapable of actually understanding what that is already, and language can never be the truth of anything. It's a product of limitation. So we're working within limitation, and that's why one of the major things the guides have talked about on this channel was the art of and the necessity, especially in this day and age where things are just so hard to discern, the necessity to cultivate ideological flexibility. In that way, what you're doing is you are agreeing with yourself to give yourself the ability to accommodate new belief systems, to at least just even entertain different thoughts and different beliefs. We've gotten to a point in many of our societies where that's synonymous with danger, because it's coming up against your programming. And a lot of us are programmed with our beliefs to be so staunch, rigid. That's rigidity, and that's a reference to the energy around you. The energy of your thoughts can't be broken, right? So all you're doing is creating a prison for yourself, because thoughts are things. So therefore, if you don't want to be hard-headed and stuck in any certain set of timelines and all sorts of stuff, the best thing to do is to give yourself, as an adult, the ability to entertain different ideas, different thoughts, move in and out of things, to listen to things, and then decide to park it or to back pocket it or to incorporate it. It's your choice. Since when has it become a world where you're not allowed to even entertain something before you start cutting people out of your life, you stop patronizing their stores, God forbid you start killing them? We see this out, and this is the hallmark of human society. So if you are trying to elevate yourself beyond the third dimension, you're going to have to practice ideological flexibility. Not only is it easier on your mindset, but I'm telling you, it is much easier and much more healthy for your energy field. So that being said, when we think about source, we can think of I am, and it's oneness, it's unity, it's all that is. Same as 1 point perspective. When you just have 1 point perspective, you just have a dot. You just have a point. There's no reflection. There's no short, there's no tall, there's no up, there's no down, there's no right, there's no wrong. There's none of that. It doesn't exist. It is not a concept. To even be able to make judgments and discern and stuff, you're going to have at least one other point of connection, right? So that you can reflect. That's when we start having 2 point perspective. And that's when you can start to make judgments about yourself and about the other. And then you have these concepts of self and other. And then even that, you don't even really understand it until what? You have at least 3 other points, because then when you hit into that third point, you can make observations about what's going on between the first and second. So do you understand? When we talk about oneness, we're talking about unity. We're talking about all that is. We're talking about I am. That is it. And that is the only state of reality that we can ever say is real. Anything else is going to have to include some type of naming, some type of labeling, some type of delineation, some type of demarcation, some type of identifying marker, some type of condition. These are all the hallmarks of polarity. And if you go back to see the lecture that we talked about, the channeled lecture that we talked about in February of 2024, they do an excellent breakdown about the differences in my gosh, I can't even really remember. It was just so good, and it's just so part of my mentality. But what were they saying? The different relationships between the higher dimensions and the lower dimensions here, and how all of your beliefs along that spectrum give rise to the things, and as they're saying right now, to the corporeal, right? Always remember, who are you? There's a difference between who you are and who you're being. Are being. Who you are is unchanging. 10 minutes, 10 seconds on this video when I said that. Who you are is quite simply, and wait for it, and I want to prime your conscious mind programming and your subconscious programming from across different timelines and different lifetimes and different socio-cultural programming to hear this. You are God. God is you. And if you are struggling with any of that, to even say, I am God, it is your programming. Because your programming tells you you cannot be God in this hierarchical society. But you see, the wrongness there is, remember, when we were all created, it was a creation like that. There was equality. There is no difference between people in quality or beings in quality. You're not better than a blade of grass. Your skin color doesn't make you better. Your education doesn't make you better. Your society doesn't make you better. Your language doesn't make you better. Nothing makes you better, 11 minutes, 11 seconds, than anybody or anything else, because you are the same. The only thing, and this is very important for you in the mission-based community to get, so that you stay out of one of the egoic traps, which is spiritual significance. Mark my words, you are not better than anybody else. And we've talked about this on this channel already. You may say, you may give yourself a label, and always remember, labels don't indicate better quality of anything. They simply speak to a function. They speak to a role. They speak to a service that's being done. They speak to an attribute. So when you start to think about yourself, for example, as light workers, I'm just going to throw it out there. We're just making anything up here. We're going to use light workers. A light worker is not better than those they say they want to help. Always remember that. In fact, they're the same. The truth is they are the same. What are they? They're one. They're God. They are just fragments, aspects, fractals, the most individuated focal point of the one. That's it. Inside of all that is, we have attributes. And that's what that is. That's what's going on. Now, a light worker will serve a function. An archangel will serve a function. There's nothing religious about this, right? An ascended master will serve a function. That's all that is. And when you have even your names, right? Look at how many cultures give names because they think they're attributing power. Because from their mindset, whatever they're trying to attribute to themselves or to others is an epitome of power. But you see, all of this is part of the mistaken reasoning, because the power comes from unity, oneness, allness, same, love, strength. That's where the strength is. United we stand, divided we fall. Always remember that. And so when you see labeling wars in mainstream media, don't even get in there, because there's pain and there's sociocultural trauma, there's sociocultural conditioning as well going on there, and we just see people spinning, and naming themselves and individuating themselves. It's kind of like when we see this in the energy field, it looks like fragmenting yourself up into smaller pieces away from what? The oneness. Now, it's not that we actually are separated, no, but because we're so powerful by what we say, what we do is we speak with our naming and with our full force of belief. We speak into form barriers, okay, between us and the divine. You cannot touch the divine from a conscious place, from a place of joy and all of that. It's too high of a frequency. You can't get there as long as you keep putting all these barriers in front of you. This is why you surrender. When you surrender your false identities, you're opening up to once again rejoin. That's why they say where two or more are gathered, it is not a natural state to be in separation. So if you're one and you're doing all your studying and all that, that's great. I go do you. But you must open up the barriers to have connection with others in order to get into what is a more natural state of being, which is oneness and unity. So I'm going to end this here. Go ahead and take a look for the next part 2. Okay, See you soon. In a few minutes, I guess.